The servers are the 7 chaos. Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos.
There are over 100 to 200 zones and stages within the Sonic franchise, 100 different tracks and songs to go along with said stages, and thousands upon thousands of rings that are formed in various ways throughout the levels. Classic ones used for just an extra hit, or ones that give access to immense grand power. That's what my last video was about, the different types of rings throughout the Sonic series, or at least touching upon the cooler ones. And throughout that video, I would bring up that some of those rings would grant the user the ability to transform into another form of strength. That's what this video is about, of course. Transformations. There are many, and I mean many, transformations that are scattered in the whole Sonic mythos. A lot of the enemies, mostly monster-like opponents, have gained a new form throughout their life or by the end of it. But the allies know how to even the playing field by having forms that either consist of having an ace up their sleeve, forms that give them speed and powers of character from a 2000 shonen, or turn the hero of the series into a monster with pretty wicked commercials at the time. And there's kind of a lot to go over. Now, if I'm being completely honest, because there's so many different forms through different ways, I really don't want this video to feel too bloated or too long for you to be bored. So this is going to be more of a general and broad overview of transformations, more specifically with super forms or anything similar. And for forms that are mostly associated with an entire character themselves, I can most likely just make a video exclusively on them. So by the end, if I don't bring up a certain form, I will most likely cover it in the future in its own video. With that out of the way, I might as well start with the most notable and well-known one, the super form. Rings alone are power items that can be used for many things. Having 50 or more is pretty cool, but if only you could actually do something with them. Well, combine that with the vast energy of the Chaos Emeralds, that grants the user a super form. Now, if you thought Sonic just having one power ring was noted as the win button, well, take that and multiply it by like 50. Because holy shit, the super forms are pretty freaking busted. The power of flight, access to chaos powers, and the coolest part, enhancing any initial powers or skills that the user had and also multiplying that. Like Silver, for example, he can already do some pretty insane stuff when he really sets his mind to do so. Take that and increase it. A unique trait that's bestowed upon each user is this ability to give said super form to others. And you might be thinking, wait, what? How? Well, it's actually happened a few times. The best moment of when this happened was from 06. Supersonic was able to give Shadow and Silver the same amount of chaos energy to allow them to transform on the spot without really having the emeralds surround them like how it's usually done. This also goes back to Sonic Heroes as well, where Sonic kinda did the same thing with Knuckles and Tails. Apparently some count this as their super forms as well, but I don't know about that one, buddy. Well, we could probably just kinda think of these as super shields or something. And surprisingly, this even goes with the real super form of Tails and his
Flicky Army of Death.
Yeah, the birds around him also get a small taste of chaos energy. And after all of that, just a small cherry on top, and that's the power of being fucking invulnerable to most things. The super form is so powerful that it's just the form that can do anything that it wants. Everyone always jokingly says, oh yeah, just have the Chaos Emeralds take care of the problem, and that is, as they say, that. More specifically, get Sonic or anyone else nearby to go super, and it's done. Stress levels reduced to 0. God of water and destruction? Nah, not a threat. A creature that lives within the Earth's core and broke the planet apart? Nope, not a threat. A literal being that exists between all of space and time and nearly destroyed all of it? A super form alone probably can't take that down. Now 3 super forms? Yes, easy. This powerful surge of energy flowing through the users is just insane. They end up being more God than Hedgehog, Cybershell. This has been with Sonic since his second installment, and from that there's some pretty interesting history with how you would originally attain Supersonic. There's a lot that was cut from Sonic 2, it's rather fascinating, but keeping the topic on super forms, there were many levels and ideas that were altered, added, and removed, and the most famous one being the removal of the Hidden Palace Zone. It was originally going to be in Sonic 2, and to get there, the player would need to complete all 7 special zones, and then you would be teleported to the underground Emerald home. Instead of just unlocking Supersonic from the special stages and going about your way, you would go here, more or less find out where the Chaos Emeralds were coming from, be challenged a little bit more, and then you could turn into Supersonic. Though during development of the game, they shortened it to just one single act, then weirdly decided to remove the whole thing like a week or two before they said, yeah, now the game's done. Some people who worked on the game weren't really too happy about that because it's not like it was just an idea that never got off the ground. No, the one level they had was complete and everything. I'm guessing they really wanted to save it for Sonic 3 because the whole concept gets used there and a little bit more. Some more modern ports of Sonic 2 would keep Hidden Palace in the game. A bit different though. To get there, you would have to fall down one of the most infamous places in the franchise, the pit. But instead of just waiting for death, you would be taken to the Hidden Palace. That's nice. And before anyone says something like, well, it's just nothing but a ripoff of Dragon Ball Z, that's cool, and I don't care. At least it immediately made itself different by, instead of just racking up the amount of power given to each form, it would branch off, or let characters have specific moves they couldn't do before. Like with the standard super form, every other character has one or more. However, I also heard that the reason why we don't get to see too much of Tails in Knuckles forms is this weird rumor of quote-unquote Izuka saying that only male hedgehogs can go super. Already, that doesn't make any bit of sense on 4 levels. And I tried finding where that claim or statement came from, but I came up empty-handed in both of them. Well, I mean, the only lead I found was Ian Flynn, lead writer for Sonic Comics. He just kind of said, yeah, I guess, But even some people who work with him don't really buy it. I read this one post and I agree with the person. They easily could just make up some bullshit like, oh yeah, you need to have experience with the Chaos Emeralds and it's difficult to wield their power or something. Most people would probably just roll with that. Makes sense, right? I don't know why I'm debating myself about this. The claim has no real damn source. Whatever. Tangent aside. Yes, I guess the boys got access to those sweet, sweet Chaos powers. This even goes for our returning lost brethren of Mighty and Ray, thanks to Sonic Mania. But remember, Sonic's entire lore is all over the place, and as such, of course there would be another dimension. This is where Blaze comes in with her burning form, which is basically her super form, but more fiery, thanks to the Soul Emeralds. That's how she's able to transform, which gives her the title of being the only female character to officially 100% have a super form of some kind. And well, since it's similar to the other super states, everything I've listed before applies here, but you know, just more fire. Now I've said before that virtually anyone can have a super form, so as such, this means that the villains can have them. The first time we see this is of Super Mecha Sonic from Sonic and Knuckles, and instead of tapping into the power from the Chaos Emeralds themselves, he got the Premium Edition, so he uses the Master Emerald directly, and everything applies to him as well in terms of powers. Though I guess just from gameplay reasons, he can't stay in this form for too long. I don't know if it's from the fact that he doesn't have rings, so the time is very finite, or from him not being used to it. Who knows, but you gotta give Knuckles some credit here. He went up against a robotic double that was supposed to match, if not be better than Sonic himself, and he went into a super form, and Knuckles still took him down. That's impressive. It kinda sucks that Mecha Sonic doesn't get too much use after that, in terms of other games and continuity, but I know in Super Mario Bros. Z, he was used at his fullest. This still holds up to this day. Holy shit! Another antagonist that's been able to achieve the height of potency is that of Chaos himself. Eggman kept feeding him emeralds throughout the game, so it was a matter of time before he got all 7, and then we're introduced to Perfect Chaos. Now, here's where we come into something a bit distinct. All the transformations I've talked about before were that of positive energy from any types of emeralds. Perfect Chaos is formed from negative energy. The same goes for all of his previous levels. Now, just because he has negative energy doesn't mean he's useless, because, yeah, he's far from that. I don't think I really need to spell out on what he did when he showed up at Station Square at full power, but luckily, no one was hurt. Not a single person. So, with the option of being able to absorb negative energy from emeralds, what does that lead to? Well, not too many other transformations for most. Well, by technicality and Shadow's game, when he uses Chaos Blast, that's through negative energy, but that's about it. There are a handful of forms for Sonic, though I seem to have noticed a pattern when it came to Sonic's more darker forms. They all seem to lead him into being a bit more violent and aggressive. It probably sounds obvious, but something I wanted to point out when I start listing these off. The forms that he does gain from any negative feedback are that of Dark Supersonic, Dark Spine, and the Werehog. Let's start with Dark Supersonic. This form is something else. It originates from Sonic X, and let's see how long he was on screen for. That's it. That's literally it. He was on screen for like a full minute, and that form somehow ended up being one of the most popular transformations for him. I don't know why. Probably from the fact that he is more vicious in this state, and I guess the idea of having a rather pure hero of Sonic having an angry mode is basically something to spark enough entertainment. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks kinda cool, especially with those hundreds of fan animations of various kinds. But officially and outside of Sonic X, he never appears again. And mind you, he didn't even transform from the real emeralds. They were fake, which, I mean, at least shows that fake ones can give off both positive and negative energy, so that's interesting, but Sonic's least used form is the one that can get 20 million views on one video alone. You love to see it. Dark Spine is a bit similar from the use of the World Rings. Sonic absorbed 3 of them to transform, but since the World Rings have emotions linked to them, that probably means that Sonic could tap into other variations of power and forms through different combinations of the rings. Though in this case, he ended up using the rings of Rage, Hatred, and Sadness, and from the addition of certain elements and powers from those rings, he's actually able to use Fire, Wind, and Darkness all in one. And even though I say all that, he uses more punches and kicks to harm Eraser, giving another indication of his darker forms being more savage. And on top of that, because of Eraser Jin's new form, no, I'm not saying his ridiculous name, he was creating a void, a small area where, after enough time, everything in the Arabian Nights world would have been gone. After that fight, Sonic reverted that, so slight reality manipulation. Dark Spine Sonic is pretty powerful and people seem to sleep on it. The last one is his Werehog form. The form that practically divided almost everything in the Sonic fanbase. I could probably make an entire video on the Werehog alone because there is quite a bit of history with him. Gameplay, concept, creation, with the idea of the form stemming from men getting curses of some kind, which is actually pretty similar to Secret Ring's plot, which came out not too long beforehand. Anyways, if you guys want that, let me know. Yes, the Werehog. The form that, unlike the other two or anything else for Sonic, removes his speed, even though he jumps around in cutscenes faster than what you can do in the game, and replaces it with hand-to-hand combat from stretching. Now, this is the biggest mystery that some people are still confused about, and I get why you'd be confused. Where does he suddenly get the ability to stretch? Well, it took me a minute to connect the pieces, but here's how the Werehog is truly different from others. It's from the fact that it's not only composed of negative energy from the Chaos Emeralds, but also part of Dark Gaia's powers. Remember when Sonic and Chip saw him for the first time? Dark Gaia ripped the Werehog from Sonic. So, with the Werehog being a part of Dark Gaia, that makes a connection. What connection? Well, what else is part of Dark Gaia? Those minions and other enemies that you fight throughout the game. The Nightmares, Killer Bees, Big Mothers, etc. They can all stretch as well, you know, when you actually let them hit you. Mostly with their arms, parallel to Sonic. That's where the stretching comes from. It's the same thing that some of the enemies can do, and Sonic's just doing the same thing. And the shield is also in the same concept, and it's pretty cool. It's him using Dark Gaia energy and shaping it into a bubble around him. That sounds really dope. Too bad no one uses it. Now, you may be asking, okay, if half of the Werehog comes from Dark Gaia's power, then how would him being awakened on Earth affect Sonic when he was all the way up in space? Honest answer, I don't really know. It's either that Dark Guy's energy is so massive that it reached Eggman's station, or just because. Or the third option, I'm missing a few pieces and I'm just wrong. Moving on, it all sounds cool and everything, but the Werehog is Sonic's weakest form. And yes, I know, but he can punch things like really hard. Yes, that's true, but that's pretty much it. Let me put it like this. Go back and listen to all the things that I've said before of what every other form can do. In other words, in comparison, Sonic's other forms, including his base one, they're just so much stronger. That's just how it is. But jumping from the weakest form to his strongest, we are introduced to Hypersonic. If you thought Chaos Emeralds were still not enough somehow, well, take that, fuse them with the Master Emerald's power, and you get the Super Emeralds. A reason and reward to the players who managed to collect the emeralds from the third game and carried them over to Sonic and Knuckles. As brief as this will sound, it's essentially Supersonic, but even stronger. It's truly the form of, but wait, there's more. Besides possibly reaching light speed with Aether images included, the idea of drowning being something to never worry about, and everything else I've mentioned before for all of his other forms. Hypersonic does gain this one move from going even further beyond, and that's the Hyper Flash, basically a screen wipe. Knuckles and Tails are also able to tap into this immense flow of power, Hyper Knuckles and Super Tails. Knuckles' special ability being that of gliding into a wall and basically causing a small earthquake, and Tails, I'm guessing it's just the flickies that are around him from what I explained before, so that's pretty cool. Now, do any of them make an appearance in the comics? Yes and no. And what I mean by that is they show up by different means, like Hyper Knuckles. It's mentioned, but it was stated as a super form, so okay. Hypersonic doesn't show up at all, and Super, or as it's called, Hyper Tails, was obtained through the use of a shit ton of rings at once, and the same goes for Ultrasonic. I guess I can bring this up real quick. Ultrasonic is a weird one to say the least, because it actually does have branching forms. The first form that was shown was from fighting Nagus, and that was just the base form for it. Ascertained by absorbing the amount of rings you get from an Unleashed level, he can surprisingly use elements on an atomic level. Wait, what the fuck am I reading? Okay. And because of issue 71 and having a Super Emerald strapped to his back, this form is even able to change due to its environment. So that's how we get Solar, Polar, Ecosonic, and more. All of that from the weirdest issue in the whole comic book's lifetime, and that says a lot. A good amount of confusing moments to just explain how Sonic got his green eyes. Alright then. Another aspect from the comics is that of Scourge in general. This confused me for a little bit because of Anti-Sonic's transformation into Scourge. I don't really know what to classify it as, a permanent power-up or a short-lived transformation, because his intentions were to go full super, but Loke stopped him. So, now that I actually think about it, the cause of him turning green was probably because it was chaos energy, and he doesn't have that in his home zone. So instead of it being a short-lived equivalent power boost like Supersonic, he got a permanent change to his whole body, and just small stat boost. That's why he suddenly becomes stronger, faster, and more aggressive than usual. That's the best answer I can come up with. What he does have in his zone is Anarchy Barrel, which are like the Chaos Emeralds but function differently. The Emeralds are rare. This stuff is all over the place though, but doesn't really mean anything to most people because their normal super forms over there are a bit more dangerous to handle. It lasts longer, cool, but ultimately drains them by the end. Not so cool. And I guess the last one that I'll cover is that of Excalibur Sonic. Quite frankly, it's not even really a super form. Why? Well, Sonic doesn't actually go golden in any shape or form or change any color. He just gets a golden armor, which basically makes him a master swordsman with superpowers, so it's more of the sword and armor itself has the power while Sonic just kind of uses it, if that makes any proper sense. Same with the Dark Queen. And that's where I'm going to have to stop it from now. I know it seems a bit abrupt and, well, we've pretty much reached a limit by this point. You're probably getting tired from listening to me. But again, I don't want to feel like I'm dragging on and on about the same thing, essentially. You pretty much get the point. They can go Super Saiyan. So, don't worry. Those other special forms I didn't cover here in this video, they will most likely get their own exclusive thing. So, Fleetway Sonic will get a video, Chaos Knuckles, Metal Sonic and his forms, and even Nicole the Lynx, who Ironically, her having a form in the comics is the whole reason I made this video in the first place, and she's not here. Awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to transformations. The most broad overview that there possibly could be. If I missed anything, gently let me know in the comments below. Try not to be too harsh about it, because again, there's a lot, and I mean a lot to cover. Definitely still feels like I have not touched everything, but I tried the best that I can when it comes to this sort of thing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know what to do with all the links that I provide and everything of the sort. Thank you for watching. That's greatly appreciated, of course. Have a great day, have a great night, and everything else, you know what to do. Bye.